a full 8 months to complete this operation. According to numerous sources, including Admiral Byrd himself, things did not go as planned, and it was a very one-sided affair, with the Antarctic Nazis victorious. Upon returning from a rather swift and, I guess you could say, a humiliating defeat by forces which were supposedly surrendered weeks after Hitler's supposed suicide, we have published interviews where Admiral Byrd stated clearly that it was now, and I quote, necessary for the United States to take defensive actions against enemy air fighters which come from the polar regions. So the United States military and intelligence were not in Antarctica for research or scientific experiments, but they were apparently trying to locate and destroy this immense underground facility that was constructed by the Germans before, during the war, and continued after the war. And it was likely used to further the research conducted by the Nazis and certain secret societies which were developing advanced propulsion technology, advanced aircraft. And these were the same ones used to decimate the Allies in Antarctica, saucer-shaped discs, far in advance of anything possessed by the US.
Doesn't even take a week or a few weeks to rest from that tiring trip. No, he flies straight to Antarctica. That is, through a labyrinth of airports and stopovers. Number 8. When the Russian Orthodox Church leader arrived in Antarctica, he started acting very strange. He blessed the land and water that surrounded the area. Then he praised the land as a model of humanity. That is the ideal location for humanity. Now think about that for a moment. I mean, Antarctica is a barren wasteland full of rocky mountains and ice. Is that really the ideal place for humanity? John Kerry's flight to Antarctica. That is, out of all the days in the year that John Kerry could fly to Antarctica, he flew on November the 8th, that is Election Day in the United States, as if he knew something or heard something, and he had to arrive in Antarctica immediately. That is, he flew out on the day of the United States presidential elections. Let that sink in, not at any other time of the year, but the day of the elections, when the entire establishment that he serves, as a Democrat, was on the line. Buzz Aldrin. After John Kerry's visit to Antarctica, which was highly irregular, next you have an astronaut, literally, and not any other astronaut, but also an astronaut that happens to be a 33-degree Freemason and a military insider. Now ask yourself, with all three of these visits combined, does a picture start to emerge that is something major is happening in Antarctica? Because remember, Buzz isn't just an astronaut. Buzz Aldrin, a 33-degree Freemason, represents another group of people, namely the Eye of Providence. That is the Grand Lodge of Freemasonry. So if you needed a report from someone, that is someone that could confirm that something was really happening in Antarctica, like you found something you weren't expecting, then who would you send if you were from the Masonic establishment? You would send none other than Buzz Aldrin. That is someone that has a military background, a background as an astronaut, that is space, and the intelligence sector, as also as someone that is a 33-degree Freemason, that is a lifetime. Lockheed Martin is now in Antarctica, and they are hiring. And Lockheed Martin doesn't show up to build some pipelines, or to build some beds for some scientists, or maintain runways. They work with SAP programs, that is highly classified departmentalized special access programs for the United States intelligence and military circuit. They are involved in places like Groom Lake, Nevada, and build things like this. The US spy boss James Clapper has been reported to have made a secret visit to New Zealand, which of course is the gateway to Antarctica. This he did in mid-March, where he met with Prime Minister John Key. So ask yourself, why would the head of the CIA make a visit to the Southern Hemisphere? You don't do this. You do this through diplomats. That is what they're there for. That is trusted people that you can pass intelligence information on. That is, unless you need to see something for yourself with your own eyes. This in itself is a kind of warning sign, at least in my opinion. John Podesta. John Podesta received strange photographs to his email as reported to WikiLeaks. That is, mundane, boring photographs of Antarctica. A number of researchers have speculated that John Podesta's photographs aren't really photographs of Antarctica at all, but contain a hidden message, that is, either encrypted pictures or a meaning in themselves. As the Moscow Times reported today, Vladimir Putin is also on his way to Antarctica very soon. That is, the second most powerful man in the world is headed to Antarctica at a time full of international conflict, when relations between the United States and Russia, at least on the surface, seem to have a major problem. What does this mean? Well, if you're sending the Secretary of State John Kerry, and maybe perhaps Obama's even been there himself, as some researchers have stated, then who's next? Well, it would be the next most powerful person, Vladimir Putin. It is also worth noting that on October the 22nd, that is of 2016, it was finally reported that the Russians actually found an underground Nazi military base in Antarctica. Just a side note regarding Vladimir Putin, because the territory that the underground Nazi military base is found in Antarctica is controlled by the Russian Federation. And this isn't a conspiracy theory, guys. This was reported widely by newspapers like The Independent, as seen here. And the Nazi military base, that is the underground bunker system, was said to contain relics, that is, at least the Nazis themselves were in pursuit of some kind of relics in Antarctica. So if you read between the lines, that is another very interesting note that's come to light just this year, that is in October. Number one, it's hard to say what's really going on in Antarctica. Is there some kind of base there, some kind of super city for the apocalypse, or maybe ancient ruins that are so shocking the political establishment's freaking out? But what is the evidence really that there is something strange there? Do we have any evidence at all? Well, we have one thing, and that's a very strange satellite image, an image taken from Google Earth. The exact location will be placed in the description, of course, so you can confirm it independently by yourselves. Now, what is this? Take a look. Well, it can't be natural. No matter how you look at this, it is clearly artificial. There is a set of what seem like massive protrusions around the outside of the object, in symmetrical mathematical rows, that is, artificial again. On the surface there is no telling what this could be. The cave behind, however, is 30 meters, or about 100 feet, which makes the opening massive. And if you look at the glacial patterning, that is the size of the object and the ice around it, you can imagine that it's been sitting there for a while. That is, at least we can assume that it hasn't been created this year. But what does this mean? I think it could be two things. Either these are ruins from an ancient civilization of some kind, or they're evidence of something being built fairly recently, What I mean by that is at least in the time period when we could have built such, say in the last 80 years or so. Either way, you don't build something like this, which looks like a door to a massive underground structure, for no reason. You build it there as a permanent feature and within a rocky terrain, just as you see here, a kind of bunker or super base. But why is it there? I don't know, guys. I have absolutely no idea. But I do know by this photograph alone that there is something in Antarctica. There is something there, and something has been built. At what time period we can only speculate, and that the elites are going there for a reason. You don't have all these high-profile figures going to Antarctica for no reason, especially from the religious sector, major religious sector, from the heights of power, John Kerry, Vladimir Putin.
Active. This was published also on Forbes, The Verge, Science Alert, and Quartz. Less than a month later, Newsweek carried this article under Opinion, Antarctica. What would happen if all the volcanoes buried beneath the ice erupted? If you do a little digging, this was actually an article that was originally published by The Conversation, academic rigor, journalistic flair, which again, once you dig in, is tied to globalist institutions, universities, and the like. But the question is, why would they even bring this up? Why would they republish this article on Newsweek, even if it's under Opinion, amidst all the chaos here? Now, if you read the article, it doesn't really say that anything is actually happening, that all the volcanoes would have to erupt at once to have some sort of cataclysmic event. But it does make me wonder what is really going on. And now it seems like the thing that's going around is this idea that there are caverns beneath the ice and even life. For example, phonemantra.com published today, Antarctica Mysterious Caves is Life Exists Beneath the Ice, which is just terrible grammar. Morning Ticker, Scientists Shocked by Discovery Underneath Antarctica Ice. AirHerald.com, Antarctica's Mysterious Caves Might Hide Life Beneath Ice. And then this strange website, BABWnews.com, that is buildingabetterworldnews.com, published Totally Shocking Discovery in Antarctica Has Scientists Very Excited. And in the article, they claim that there are caverns beneath the ice, caves, if you will, some that are 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And this short article also suggests that scientists found DNA in these caves from plants and animals that can't be found elsewhere. Now, coming from the premise and background that we do on this channel and many channels like it, the prospect of a hollow earth, an underground cavern, or hidden chambers in the earth are topics that we have definitely explored. But with the recent focus and attention back on Antarctica, it does make you wonder, what are they preparing us for? Why have they gotten us into this psychological state as a population? And I would suggest that perhaps they are getting ready to rewrite history in a big way that might involve some sort of prehistoric human race. Some will call it extraterrestrial, but in reality, it's what the Bible talks about in the pre-flood days, the days of Noah, which we are returning to as Jesus stated in Matthew 24. The days when the sons of God mated with the daughters of men and had children called Nephilim, a race of hybrid giants that somehow survived one way or another, whatever your theory may be, after the flood, as it says in Genesis 6. And perhaps we are living in the age when those creatures, entities, gods, whatever you want to call them, might reemerge publicly. And we have to remember that the Vatican probably has known about this and probably has been the center of knowledge about things going on beneath our feet since the time of Jesus. The greatest cover-up of mankind has been led by the church, the ecclesiastical arm. And why wouldn't it? If Jesus Christ is the truth, then it's obvious that the largest institution that bears his name would be the most corrupt in order to deceive. There are a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding Antarctica. Are there pyramids down there? Are there ancient civilizations, ruins? Is it a pathway or a hole into a hollow earth? Is it an ice sheet wall that surrounds us? It's mysterious because not many of us have been there or have the tools to legitimately go explore. But the things that are being reported, not from people who are touting conspiracies, but rather simply the scientific community at least gives me pause and makes me raise my eyebrows and take a second look at what might be happening. Now, there's a connection with Antarctica and CERN in that they have particle detectors on the ice. Smithsonian.com reported in 2010 looking for neutrinos, nature's ghost particles. And in the article it states to capture these ghost particles, elusive entities they call them, physicists have conducted some extraordinary ambitious experiments. So that neutrinos aren't confused with cosmic rays, subatomic particles from outer space that do not penetrate the Earth, detectors are installed deep underground. Enormous ones have been placed in gold and nickel mines, in tunnels beneath mountains, in the ocean, and in Antarctic ice. These strangely beautiful devices are monuments to humankind's resolve to learn about the universe. And again, this is back in 2010, they introduce this thing called Ice Cube, which is basically a neutrino telescope. Live Science reported on the same thing in December of 2010, world's largest neutrino observatory built at South Pole. And then The Guardian carried it in 2011, the hunt for neutrinos in the Antarctic. The Ice Cube project has constructed a large detector in the Antarctic ice to find subatomic particles. Top. But I truly believe that there is a dark group that we don't see, that we can't identify just through the institutions that are public. I think there are many who are behind them that we never see, that we never hear about, and those are the ones that are really controlling a lot of this stuff, but they are the ones who are being really led by spiritual wickedness, by the principalities and powers that whisper these things into their ears and get them to build the things of Satan, not of God.
Of this Ark of Gabriel, this mysterious device, okay, that the Russian president, Putin, took it upon himself to order his naval ships to take this object, okay, down to Antarctica. Okay, now apparently it was unearthed, by a controversial construction project that began, okay, in 2014, basically underground Mecca, the holy site and the mosque in Mecca for Muslims, but it's some ancient, mysterious, device or weapon, okay, that was found. All right. And, it was found somewhere around Mecca. The official story is that some crazy thing happened on September 12th, September 12th and 13th of 2015. Of course, we know was the Feast of Trumpets, and, something definitely seemed to be started to happen. It said that a massive plasma emission, was emitted by this thing. It came out of the ground and toppled a construction crane. Okay. Killing at least 107 people. Okay. And then what was even more crazy is that, when they tried to make another attempt, okay, to remove this device, okay, the first time was on September 12th, and then another attempt was made on September 24th, which killed another 4,000 people due to another massive plasma mission, okay, which put tens of thousands in panic, but Saudi officials
Stop, Edo.